All right, guys, we're on the back side of Unit 8, Day 4 notes, and we learned a new proportion, and we're going to see if we use this one or the one we did the day before. So it says if JK equals 14, HL equals 21, they want you to find JH. Okay. All right, so this is not Pigs Are Awesome Pets because there's nothing on my altitude and I'm not asked to solve for it. So I'm going to go ahead and label my pieces. This is going to be leg 1. Therefore, this is projection 1 and this is projection 2. Okay. So we're going to go pigs love low hurdles. Since if we use Pigs Are Awesome Pets, we would have nothing to put in for the altitude spots because it's not X, it's not what we're solving for, and there's no number on it. So we would have too many variables if we use Pigs Are Awesome Pets. And so now what we have to do is we have to decide if these are all going to be 1s or 2s, and based on that, I have leg 1 and projection 1, they're all going to be 1s. Okay, and now we can go ahead and replace. Projection 1 is going to get replaced with X. Leg 1 is going to get replaced with 14, equal to the same leg 1, which is 14, over the whole hypotenuse. And so now we have to do a little bit of math. We add the parts to get the whole, and our whole hypotenuse expression will be X plus 21. Okay, now we can go ahead and cross multiply. And so this cross is going to be the difficult one. We have to remember that it's X times X, which is X squared, and X times 21, which is 21X, equal to 14 times 14, which is 196. Okay? Because of that square term, and you can see that you have 3 different terms, it's going to turn into a trinomial. We're going to get 2 answers. We're going to have to factor, but we can't factor unless we're equal to 0. And so that's why I brought over my 196, and now it's negative. Okay, we'll set up our X box. We know that our multiply number is the last number, which is negative 196, and our add number is in the middle, which is 21. Okay, we can use our calculator definitely for the table. If you type in 196 divided by X, and look for in your table a pair of numbers that could possibly add to 21, and hopefully you eventually find 28 and 7. Okay, 28 times 7 is 196, and 28, and we're going to have to change this to a negative 7 so that it works in the add. When I add them together, I get positive 21, and when I multiply them, I get my negative 196. And so now I'm ready to go ahead and factor. I'll come up here. Factors would be X plus 28 and X minus 7 equal to 0. Okay, and on this side, if we solved, we would have to subtract 28, and we would get negative 28. On this side, we would have to add 7 over, and we would get X equals 7. Okay? All right, so now we have to decide that 2 answers is not going to be good here because JH can't be a negative length. And so now we have a reason to reject it, and we'll keep X equals 7. And because X equals 7 now, we can now say JH equals 7. Okay, all right, number 3. It says in right triangle ABC, altitude CD is drawn to hypotenuse AB. And so right there, when they say that, we have to remember that it's our picture that looks like this. With our right angle up in the air, our altitude drawn down, forming more right angles. Okay. And they said that CD was the altitude, so we'll put C up there, D down here, and the triangle is known as triangle ABC. So we'll go ahead and label like that. It tells you that AC is 4, that DB is 4 more than the length of AD. So what we're going to do is we're going to call ADX, and that way 4 more than, not 4 times, 4 more than is DB, and so we'll go X plus 4, because that would be 4 more than the length of AD. Okay, and so now we can go ahead and say that this is our leg 1, this is our projection 1, and this is our projection 2. And there is nothing on the altitude, and so we're going to go ahead and go with pigs love low hurdles. And based on what we have and what we're solving for, we got more 1s, so we go ahead and make all of those 1s. Okay. All right, our projection 1 is going to get replaced with X. Our leg 1 will get replaced with 4, equal to the same leg 1 of 4. okay, over my whole hypotenuse, and we got to do a little adding here. So if we add x plus 4, that gives us 2x plus 4. And now we can go ahead and replace our hypotenuse. All right, and we're ready to cross multiply. Okay, this is going to be the harder cross. We have to remember that it's x times 2x, which is 2x squared, and x times 4 is 4x, equal to 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay, we're going to go ahead and say that we're going to have 3 terms. It's going to be a trinomial, and we're going to have to factor it, but we can't factor unless we're equal to 0, so we bring our 16 over. We have a greatest common factor. Everybody is divisible by 2, and so we're going to go ahead and take that 2 out. And that is the trinomial we're left with. And now we have that easy trinomial, which is what we were trying to get to. Okay. If we set up our x box, our multiply is -8, and our add is +2. The numbers that'll do the job are going to have to be 4 and 2. Except the 2 here is going to have to be negative, so that if I multiply them, I get my -8, and I add them, I get my +2. So now we can keep this 2 here, and the easy trinomial gets broken up into x plus 4 and x minus 2. Okay. What we're supposed to do now is we're supposed to set every factor equal to 0, which we're normally used to having these ones here. And this one would give us -4, and this one would give us 2. This factor of 2 gets set equal to 0, but there's no value of x to solve for. And notice we already have our 2 answers, which is how many we knew we were supposed to have. Okay. However, AD cannot have a negative length, and so we're going to go ahead and reject our -4 and keep our 2. And because x is 2, and they wanted to know AD, we can now tell them that AD is 2. Okay. Let's try the next one. Number 4. It says find GH. So we'll put an X on GH in simplest radical form. So again, notice our altitude going from right angle to right angle has nothing on it. Therefore, we know that we're again going to use Pigs Love Low hurdles. Okay. Going over to label. My picture is a little flipped, so like if you want to flip it back and rotate your paper to label your pieces, you can. Hopefully you know that we can call this one up here a projection 1. Okay, and this one a projection 2, or vice versa. It doesn't matter, but because I called that projection 2, this has to be my leg 2 then, not my leg 1. My leg 1 would be over here. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and say we got more 2's here, so we'll make these all 2's. Now we'll replace. Our projection 2 is 9. Our leg 2 is x, equal to the same leg 2 of x over our whole hypotenuse, which we got to do a little adding in here. Okay. If we take our 2 pieces, which are 9 and 3, and we add them together, we get 12. And so now we can go back and replace our hypotenuse with 12. Okay. And now we can cross multiply. X times x is x squared, equal to 9 times 12, which is 108. Go ahead and square root both sides. The square root and the square cancel each other out, leaving you with x equals. 108 is not a perfect square, and they said simplest radical form up in the directions. So if we use our calculator, 108 divided by x, we can see all the numbers that go in and look for the largest perfect square. And hopefully you guys see 36 and 3. Okay. Square root of 36 is going to become 6 square root of 3. And now we have the length of GH. Okay. Number 3. It says find x, okay, in simplest radical form. And so now taking a look at our picture, it's kind of almost turned back to normal, but that x is representing, I'm going to call it leg 2, and this 2 is going to be projection 2. Okay. Therefore, this 12 is going to be projection 1. And so now you guys can see there's still nothing on my altitude, so we're going to still stick with Pigs Love Low hurdles. And in here, we have more 2's. So we're going to go ahead and make all of these 2's and replace projection 2 with a 2. A leg 2 with an x equal to the same leg 2, which is x, over my whole hypotenuse here. So add the pieces. 12 plus 2 is 14. And now I can replace my hypotenuse. All right, we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. X times x is x squared, equal to 2 times 14, which is 28. We're going to go ahead and take the square root. Square and the square root cancel each other out, leaving you with x equals, and the square root of 28 is not perfect. So we find the largest perfect that goes into 28, which hopefully you see is 4. The other number is 7. And then when we circle our perfect, the square root of 4 becomes 2 square root of 7. Okay? And now we can go ahead and, oh, they just said find x. It didn't have a name. All right. And that one's finished. Okay, last one. In here, we have the altitude drawn to the hypotenuse of a right triangle. So again, when they say that, we know our picture looks like this. That right angle up in the air, the altitude drawn down to a point on the hypotenuse with more right angles. Okay? It says that the altitude drawn to the hypotenuse of a right triangle divides the hypotenuse into 2 segments of 2 and 16. So on our hypotenuse, which is here, we have 2 segments, one here, so I'm going to put the 2 there, and one down here, which I'm going to put the 16. They want to know what is the length of the shorter leg. So if we take a look at our 2 legs, here's one, and here's our second one. Okay? They want to know the shorter one. So you can go based on looks, not that we're supposed to, and there's a little bit of math behind it. The shorter projection has the shorter leg. And so this is where we're going to go ahead and put our x. We're going to solve for that. And therefore, because we have nothing on our altitude, we're going to go ahead and use pigs love low hurdles again. So that's my leg 2. This will be my, I'm sorry. I would normally call it 1. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to call this leg 1. So this will be my projection 1, and this will be my projection 2. Normally I put the 1s on the left-hand side, so I don't want to do anything different. Okay, so here we go. Pigs love low hurdles. And we got more 1s. 1, 1, 1. Okay. If we replace projection 1 with 2, leg 1 with what we're solving for, which is x, same leg 1, so x over my whole hypotenuse, do a little adding. 16 plus 2 is 18. We'll go ahead and cross multiply. We get x squared equal to 2 times 18, which is 36. And then we're going to go ahead and square root. What's nice about this one and the last couple is that 36 is back to being perfect. And so our answer is x equals 6. And so we can say that the shorter leg equals 6. Okay. All right, guys. I will see you on the next day of notes.